Hi, it's János, and I'm doing a little video log of my build on working on the tone arm. I said that I'm going to rewire it, and this is how it's turning out. So first of all, here's the wooden arm that you have seen before. As you see, I'm haven't taken off the cartridge. It's left it on the arm, and it's very easy when you do that. Just put some paper around the cartridge to protect. Can you see? Oh, maybe now. There you go. You can see the tip, the stylus in there. So you want to protect that stylus with this thing on top, and then just use a bit of blue tape to hold it in place so that you don't accidentally damage it while you are working on it. So what I did is I got that gauge 32 silver wires, which were bare silver. I strung them out and painted them, and this is just blue enamel. As you can see, I gave them 2 layers, so basically paint on a layer, 24-hour drying, second layer, 24-hour drying, and then I could mount them to the arm. So it's like a several days process, but just like a few minutes of work each day. But it will, you need to wait until it dries to get to the next step. And after that, I just glued it onto the arm. So how I did it, as you can see, I glued that to the side. So one side and then the other 2 wires on the other side. So if I flip it and show it closer, you can see what I did. I used a tight bond or Elmer's glue. Maybe I have it here or here. That's what it is. It is the same stuff that you can use when you're doing flooring. Here, tight bond, wood glue. So basically it's wood glue. And what I did is I used a little bit of this blue tape, and I fastened the wire with blue tape here, 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 and at the end. And on those spaces where it was accessible, I added with my finger a dab of glue. And then I let it dry, and when it dried, I could remove the blue tape and then also glue those areas which did not glue before because the tape was holding it in place. And you need the tape there to hold the wire, because if you just put the wire, put the glue, it will just move around and you won't have much success with it. So you need to hold the wire first in place and then add the glue. So why am I doing it this way? Because this way the tone arm wiring will be permanently bonded to the arm itself. So it means that those little wires will not resonate like dee 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 dee. And that's a really big thing, a really big factor for how your tone arm wiring turns out, is that those wires are going to resonate. So in a normal metal arm, you have the metal arm, you have the tone arm wire running inside, your metal arm is resonating at those frequencies it's resonating, and those sensitive wires on the inside are picking up those resonances from the arm. And also other resonances, any other mechanical resonance that it's picking up from the head moving, the fine vibrations, those are going to go inside and then resonate in the wire. But now if it's bonded to the arm, then you are restricting those resonances quite a bit. It's not able to move within a tube and just resonate independently. Of course, if you have a metal arm, then that might be a different scenario. You might not want to bond your tone arm wire to a metal arm, because then you are going to transmit the metallic vibrations to the wire itself directly, and that's going to increase the unpleasantness that the arm already imparts to the sound. If you have a wooden arm, of course, it has a broader resonance spectrum than a metal arm, but it doesn't have that sharp resonance peak that any metal arm has, even if you have a $50,000 crazy next technology arm designed by a space engineer with a 2 century from now technology or whatever what they call them in their ads. If it's like a metal arm designed for ultra low vibration, etc., you can measure. I just recently read, I don't know what the brand was, but that arm did cost 50K, and it had two sharp, and it of course it was labeled as it's a non-resonant arm, ultra quiet, and everyone who designs their arms to resonate like a music instrument is an idiot. That's what the review on it said, basically. And then it said that the manufacturer specifies that there are two resonance spectrum of that arm at 4 kilohertz and 9.03 kilohertz. It's like two really sharp peaks. And now that's the problem, that when you have these really sharp peaks, your ear will pick that up, even if it's low level, because everything else is dead quiet. And then ding ding, you have these two ringings, and that will add metallic twinge to the sound. Now, if you listen to music, which is like jazz quartets, when guys are ripping up their saxophones, then if you add a little bit metallic tinge to that, who cares? You will enjoy it tremendously. But if you want to listen for a violin solo, if you turn it into a violinato saxo solo, now that's a little bit more bothersome. So for those of you who want to listen to violin or human voice also, it's not the best when you add metallic ringing to it. Then if you do this strategy that you have a wooden arm and you want to wire it, of course it's really hard to do internal wiring in a wooden arm and doesn't make any sense. The best thing you can do with it is if you bond the wire, the tone arm wire, to the arm itself. And why did I bond it in this fashion? You see, that's the two terminals, positive and negative, of one channel running on one side, and the positive and negative of the other channel running the other side, and I'm placing them as far physically away as possible. And that is to reduce the capacitance between the wires. Normally what people have is twisted pair running, and that's really good for noise rejection, but it's terrible because it has very high capacitance, because you have the negative and positive close to each other. And that's what a capacitor is, basically the two plates, two electrodes being in proximity to each other. Now the closer they are to each other, the higher the capacitance is between them. So basically by me keeping them as far away as possible, that minimizes the capacitance of the wire. So it means that it allows the high frequency extension, allows air, allows that 20 kilohertz region to come out really nicely. What else? Of course, if it's not like tightly twisted around each other, it can pick up noise better. However, when you bond them, it means that the distance between, the wires is constant, so they are not able to move a little bit. So when the electromagnetic field is tugging on them, they will not move, and that will help to provide more it will end up as a stability in the sound, like you will have better bass response, also better noise rejection, because the noise will enter it constantly at the same point, so it won't have the ability to move around a little bit, being moved by the electromagnetic forces that are acting on it through the EM fields in your room. So these are held in place, and I've been doing this, and really, if you don't do something idiotic like place like a power cord near your tone arm or things like that, then you will not have problem with hum if you use this method. And especially if you use like moving magnet cartridges, then if you do this type of wiring, then it's not going to be an issue hum wise. It will be super duper quiet. If you're using like really super low duper low output moving coil, you will run into hum issues if you have really bad EM pollution in your home. For example, all LED lights, and not just LED lights, but you have the dimmer. If you have a dimmer for the LED, now that will pick up hum from your LED. And then you want those tightly twisted, perhaps shielded tonearm wires, and then you won't pick up the LED dimmers hum. But anyway, so this is moving magnet. I have LED dimmer. I will see how it turns out, but my prediction is I will have no issues with the hum, but I will report on it if I do and what I can do to fix it. So for now, that's about it. That here we go. Here we have the loose ends of the gauge 32 silver wire, and I'm showing the base. So this is the base for the arm. So it will sit on like this. That's it. So it's a unipivot arm, and what I was using before for the pivot point was basically an arrowhead. And now I'm upgrading the arrowhead, and instead of an arrowhead, I am using graphite bearing, which is a self-lubricating bearing, and possibly the best bearing you can get for tone arms. And then that's a really nice way of saying self-lubricating graphite bearing. And in reality, it's the cheapest, easiest thing to do. Pencil lead. Just get a pencil, cut off the right piece, make it sharp, stick it in your base, and there you got a self-lubricating, best kind, most audiophile bearing you can have. You just need a pencil, that's it. And of course, previously I had RCA jacks that I used for, but now I will be just directly soldering these leads to those interconnects that I just made shortly. I think about a week and a half ago, I posted how I was making, what were the tweaks I did to those interconnects, and they will be the termination here for these wires. So, and then last thing I will need to do is to do the counterweight, which used to be, if I can reach, just a copper screw here, a brass screw basically stuck here, and I could put brass washers, and by being able to twist it, like screw it in, that's how I could adjust the VTA. So I mean not the VTA, but the tracking weight. So like make the weights a little closer, and then it becomes a little bit heavier, or take them further apart, so it just lifts up the arm more, right? So now what I will do, instead of using brass weights, I want to exchange that for a wooden counterweight. So I will have a wooden piece, and instead of the brass sticking like this, the wood will hang lower, so that to keep the arm more stable. Also, in the beginning, when I made this arm 20 plus years ago, I used these brass screws here. You see those holes, one sticking out this side, the other sticking out the other side, like these balancing wings. And the prime purpose for that was to set the horizontal tracking angle. Because why? Because this is a unipivot, so basically it can rotate in any angle. So what you want to do is to make sure that it's horizontally perfectly flat, right? And it doesn't lean like this, doesn't lean like that. So if you screw this in and you screw it a little bit out, it will make it tilt a little bit more that way. Or you screw it in, it's this way, and with the other screw on the other side, you have two of these, so I have the ability to fine-tune how well it stays on track. And basically the way it turned out, and the way I put here, if you can see, there's a dimple right there, the dimple. So that's where it's sitting on the unipivot point. And basically I don't really need these guys for it to stay flat, so I'm just going to remove them, and I will put back only one if I need to finally adjust it, but hopefully it will not come to that, because my initial idea was that I'm putting these guys out here to help with the balancing, like a pole dancer, not pole dancer, like a tightrope walker does with, you know, with a pole in his hand, but that pole is not fixed rigidly to the tightrope walker, but it's hanging there, and the tightrope walker goes like that. However, in this case, it's rigidly fixed, so basically it's going to destabilize the arm. So that idea that I initially had back then, and that's what I shared with you guys, that oh, these stick out there and they help with the balance. They don't really help. Did not. They would help with the balance if they would be sticking low, because then they help to stabilize the center of mass, bring it lower. But because they are out, they just destabilize the arm. So basically they fulfilled only one function, lateral stability. I mean lateral planing. So like, if depending on how they are screwed in, they are either like keeping it at this way angle, or you screw it in more here or there. That's it. So that was my update for the arm. I hope you guys like it, and we'll see how it turns out, and I can report on how it sounds, and I will be using it with my Rega, and feeding the 807 Darling amplifier and feeding the Cube Audio drivered void pipes with it. So thank you, please like and subscribe, and have fun with your wooden arms and with bonded tone arm wires. Enjoy your day. Bye bye.